Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. So in this video I'm in Jackie and we're going to be talking about the van build. So a few months ago, might be 4 months ago now, I bought this van as a shell, as a Ford Transit shell, and I employed a company to do it up for me. So the first thing we're going to do is a little van tour. It's a simple build, but a little van tour. Then we're going to talk about the problems I had with the build company, and then I'll talk about what things you might be considering if you were going to get your van built by a company. Right, we're parked in the New Forest. It's cold, but it's a beautiful day. Let's crack on.
I'm Jamie. I've never been a 9 till 5 guy, and seeking out new experiences has always called to me. Whether it's micro or something a bit bigger, join me on my next adventure.
So let's start with the seats. There were 2 seats here and the driver's seat. Basically I got them so that there's 2 seats now, 2 captain seats, and they both swivel round. The only downside is you've got to have the handbrake off for this one, but luckily on a flat surface, putting it in park, there's no problem at all. So I sort of like to put it back on once the seat's like this, but they work really well. I also got 2 rear seats put in here. Great for passengers, of course, but also great for working. Sarah and I can sort of sit across from each other. I can work here. Yeah, it just works really well. We've got a son, so it's nice to have, you know, more than 2 seats at the front, isn't it? And it really works well, I think. Yeah. And for the cabinetry, well, you can sort of see for yourself, but we had this sort of bulkhead put in here, which is great for the front windscreen stuff. There's the Starlink, there's the step to get up there, a couple of jackets and things, which works really well. Little storage space here. Both sides here, there's a big cupboard, which we normally put sort of clothes in, with just push buttons there. There's also the same this side with some sort of food and coffee we're choosing for there. These stickers keep coming off for some reason, I don't know why. Same with that. But there's also these cabinetry stuff here, which is really good. There's a space here as well, which we keep our stove and things. The only downside is we like a couple of like a couple of mats on the floor, and the builders unfortunately put these too close, the opening too close to the floor, so we actually can't have a mat down, which is really blooming annoying. So that's a top tip for things to think about later in the video. And we also had this behind the seats, a little cupboard here with bits and bobs in, and this cupboard here has the toilet in. There's also some cabinets underneath the bed that the bed rests on. That side has the electrics, and this side just has some like breakdown stuff and European travel stuff. We get to the bed. So in the video that I talked about what I was going to do with this van a few videos ago, you might have seen that, you might have not. If not, check that out when it was just a raw van. I talked about having a bed that went actually long ways, so we didn't go for that in the end because I wanted the seats and this here for the toilet. So we've gone for a bed that goes that way, which actually is fine. I can stretch out with my head sort of against here. It's completely fine, which is no problems. But I talked about how we also need lots of gear with us on jobs, photography jobs and filming jobs sometimes. It's not in there at the moment, but this is what we've done with the bed. So it's an electric bed. So if I lift it up, in fact, what I'll do is just move these pillows quickly, and you can sort of see what's going on. So basically these come out, and then you can lift the bed all the way up to the top. I won't lift it up to the top because the bed's made. In fact, I will lift it up to the top because it will make more sense then. So let me just take these off. Hopefully that will do. And you can see the sides coming up. I don't know if this is going to work. Lovely, like that. So that you can see the bed is up. I mean, you've got to move down a little bit, but it's a nice space for putting loads of gear, bikes or anything like that. So there's a simple electric install in here. There's just two AGM batteries in here. I think they're about 110, 150 each, I think. Not massive. Then there's a solar thing that connects to the solar, two 110 watt solar panels up there. They're sort of thin ones that are on the roof, and a engine charger. So when you're driving, the engine charges the batteries. So I mean, we've stayed in it for 3 nights a couple of weeks ago, off grid completely, and we did not run out of power. Nowhere near, and we were using all the power basically. But and I haven't plugged it in yet. No, we plugged it in last week in the Netherlands, but that was completely, fine. We're on a campsite, but it's completely fine for us, for our needs. And then with the electrics, we're talking about the lights. So we've got sort of the LED lights up here. There's LED lights above the bed, and there's LED lights actually under the bed too. And we've also got LED lights up here as well, just touch, and they're all touch, so you can touch that. The classic sort of, you touch it once, it dimmers, you touch it again, it lightens. So it's very light in here, in fact too light. We normally at night we just have these sides LEDs on, but it's really handy when we're loading gear to have these on. Yeah, so it's really handy. We also have the classic plug that's here. When we're plugged into 240 volt, we can use that, and the 12 volt here. But because we work in here, there's more down here. So I got the guys to fit, power delivery, USB 3, quite potent ones there, 65 watt ones there, and then 2 other power sockets just there. There's also a diesel heater. The vent is underneath the chairs. The actual diesel heater is underneath the van, and we've used that every time we've used the van since we got it, and it is amazing. If anything, too hot. We've got to keep it down to about, I think it was 14 to 16 degrees we put on the little gizmo there, because it gets so warm in here, and it's been down to like -5 outside, so no problems there. So let's talk about the windows. So obviously this was just metal before. We've got 2 windows either side put in. These windows though have openings. Oh, they're a bit stiff, but one's the glass, and then you have the sort of fly screen there, and then if you don't want that, you can pull that as well to have it completely open, which is nice. And I've got that both sides, and then a simple opening there, which is the classic fly screen one side, and like that there, which is completely fine. This is a simple build. I did consider a max air fan, but the truth is I've had these before and they work fine, and I just basically wanted something that I could open, and then at the moment we're putting the Starlink just on the roof out there. I also got the company to install these tie down points at each side of the garage. Yeah, they're behind the jackery just there, which is very useful. And then I put these in, they're a bit higher. These don't have massive strength, these have more strength, much more strength, but these are just sort of stability ones. And then I've just got like a net that I bought off Amazon that I can pull across there, that sort of stops anything go flying forwards. There's also a simple 12 volt fridge here as well, just good. Water, bit of milk in there, little freezer, very handy. Don't need massive amounts of fridge storage, but this is plenty. And then also got the Fiamma F45S awning all the way across, which is amazing. I love it. There's also, I got them to put a light all the way along, so it's at night, it's really light, which is lovely. And also one of the things that they didn't do, but I got them to do afterwards, is a rain, the gap between the awning and the van, there was a gap. rain would have just come through, which is always annoying when it happens. So I bought them to put a plastic guttering in between. So that's the simple van build. You know, I told you it was going to be simple. Obviously it's insulated as well, and you know, all that sort of stuff, but it's exactly what I need. It came down to a cost thing, really. I didn't want to spend too much money on it, and it's got everything I need for my adventures. But I've got a few notes, and let's talk about the problems I had with the build. And to be honest, thinking about it back now, they were a lot bigger problems at the time than they are now. I think it was mainly because I was eager to get it done, possibly. And again, let me know what you think. But anyway, I've made a few notes. So there was a misunderstanding about what could be done and what couldn't be done with the van, with this company. It was when we went for the first meeting, it was really like, they weren't forthcoming with like ideas. It was basically, oh, what do you want? And I was like, oh, well, I could do with this. I think I want this and what this. And one of the issues we had is, one of the questions I had is, could we, because I was trying to save money, could we use the front 2 seats that were in the van and put them here as these 2 seats? Because I wanted rear seats here. And they said, no, not at all. We don't do that at all. You know, we don't do that at all. And which was sort of annoying, and because then we chose something else. And then after finally saying we actually do want the rear seats because we have a son and we want to take more people than just 2 people, they said, oh, we could do that. Of course we can do that. And then we said, but you said you can't do that because you can't move those seats to here. And it was just a miscommunication, but they meant they can't put the front seats here, and that they can't put seats here, if that makes sense. So there was a bit of communication that was very, very annoying, and luckily we got it sorted in the end, but it was a tad sort of annoying. You know, my thought would have said, oh, but if you want we can't move those seats here, but if you do want seats here, we can just get some new ones. I think that's what I would have if I was them. But again, I got seats in the end, but it was a bit of a faff to get that, for them to know what I was talking about. Another problem with the build is the first meeting wasn't great. I don't know why we carried on really, but there was no designs. They weren't forthcoming at all, like with, oh, but you could do this. You know, once we said what we would like, they weren't sort of like, but if you do this, they could do this, or if you do this, we could have this here, and things like that. And it was just what do you want? Okay, this is this much. Which is fine, but it was very dry. You know, I have my own business, and the customer, you know, you come to the people for expertise, don't you, and to guide you. And it wasn't like that at all. It was very, very dry. I'm looking at my phone, by the way, because it's been a while now, so I've got some notes, and there's no particular order of this either. When we went to collect the van, God knows what, it was like a Friday or something like that, end of the week, and they told us to come on this Friday. I think it was by 1 o'clock. I think it was. Anyway, we were going excited to get the van all done, and we got a call. Oh, it can't be 1 o'clock. It's now 3 o'clock. I was like, okay, they were obviously running a bit late or something that's happening. Fine. So anyway, we arrived at 3 o'clock on the pickup date, and it was nowhere near ready. Like, they were still doing the electrics when we were there.
So we're just around the corner from the garage that's been doing up the Jackie. We're 5 minutes early, so we're just hanging out around the corner. But they've told us it's not ready. This is pickup day. It's been arranged for months, and they said it's not ready. In fact, they told me that they were only doing the electrics this morning, which makes me worried. And we've had a really bad experience with them. So let's go and see what Jackie is like. So just got back They weren't ready at all. So they're going to I'm giving them another week because they were nowhere near ready. Yeah, we had no idea. Terrible communication. Very, very not happy with them, but we'll see how it goes. And the positives, the stuff that they've done, you know, it looks all right, you know, so I can see the end happening. But yeah, another week to wait for Jackie. Come on.
Oh, it was crazy, absolutely crazy. And we said, like, what, it's not even done. Like, why are we here to pick it up? So that was a really weird thing. In fact, they missed the slot that day by 2 weeks. It was 2 weeks later that we actually picked it up. So yeah, and we had a build slot sorted. So we waited for a couple of months to get the van delivered into them. There was, I think, a 5-week slot because it's a simple build. And then we were going to pick it up 5 weeks later. And also because I was going to Germany at the time 2 weeks after the pickup date. So that's why we wanted that to have a shakedown and things like that. But yeah, it was very touch and go at one point. But what was more annoying is that we turned up at the garage and they said it was ready and it was nowhere near ready, which is weird, to be honest. You want people to come and pick up the van when it's ready, don't you? However, this company in particular, they didn't like to show the build unfinished. At the start, I asked, can I have some like update pictures so I know what's going on and things like that. And they said they don't do that. I was like, oh, okay, fine, but a bit weird, but fine. But thankfully, when we did, pick up the van on that van date that it wasn't ready, there were things wrong. This cabinet here was too wide, way too wide, so the seats would have been this gap here would have been way too narrow. A few things like the awning, the gap I spoke about in the tour, the gap was there, so we got them to add the light and the rain guard. So there was a few things like that if we picked it up and it was done, I would have been like, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And then going on from that, when we, got the van in and there was no sort of build designs or anything like that. So there was no signing off of a design. It was more like one kitchen pod, one table, one chair, one bed, one this. So we really had to be like forceful about, are you doing this? Like, and ringing up and like, we were the ones almost managing the project, and it was really sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Anxiety, because it's, even though it's a cheap build, it's still a lot of money. It's money anyway, whether you pay in £5 or, whatever, it's money. So you want it to be right. And there wasn't a lot of communication. It was it was in their heads what they were doing, and we were like, we don't know if they're doing it right. But like I said, thankfully the van wasn't ready, and we got them to change a few bits and bobs, because if we picked it up with what they were thinking about doing, it wouldn't have been right. Another note: the final bill, there are a few mistakes. We had to go through the bill with a fine tooth comb, and they would have overcharged us. There was a few things that they would have overcharged us. I'm so glad we actually, we're business owners, so we're quite used to going through things by line by line by line by line. But it's important to do that, because we would have probably been about £1,000 out of pocket if we would have just paid the bill and just left. And then the last one, I've said this before, but they weren't forthcoming. We had to chase a lot. We had to manage the list of jobs that still needed doing. It was more annoying. And I've said this before, and I've said this on Instagram actually, but it wasn't, and nothing was like terminal. It was just so frustrating. And things could have been done a lot better for the customer experience. So I've just changed seats for visual effect, no other reason. But let's talk about what to look out for when doing your build, if you're going to be doing a build yourself, as in not doing it yourself, getting a company to do it for you. And again, this is just a little list that I've got. The list is massive, of course, but it's just a little, I'll just tap the microphone, sorry. It's just a little few notes that I think that would be worth thinking about if you're doing your build. Okay, go on personal recommendations. So important, I think. If someone else has had a good experience, you're probably going to have a good experience. But then saying that, the Google reviews where the company we went, they were fine. There was no massive issues. So, but yeah, go on personal recommendations. Ask people where they've been before, and maybe go to the company. We did, but so you don't really know. So, but personal recommendations. Another one, get a design on paper that you can sign off. I think this is so important. Even if it's a sketch, surely, we should have demanded that, to be honest, but maybe it was because of the excitement or whatever. And because I wanted it done quickly for all these adventures that I do, maybe I missed that and it was my fault, but definitely demand something, the design on paper that you can sign off. It's not hard nowadays. There's apps now that you can make 3D designs about campervans. So I don't know why why it would be such a problem, but I'm sure other companies do it. But I wouldn't do it again without actually almost physically seeing exactly it done and signing it off. Another one, have plenty of time either side of the build for things that take longer. It always takes longer. That's my experience anyway. Maybe other companies have it right on, finish on a deadline. Can they finish on a deadline? But things happen. Maybe deliveries get late or whatever. But if you're a company watching this, don't ask the customer to turn up and say the van's done if it's not done, because that's pretty annoying. We found it infuriating. But yeah, if you're a customer, don't book anything too close to the van build finish date, because you'll probably be disappointed. Oh, last little tip to look at when you're doing your build. We chose this builder because they were close. They were about 25 minutes away from our house. Maybe in future we would look further afield. We thought it would be a massive benefit that they were close, and of course they was, because we could, we had to pop there a couple of times, which was handy, but we chose them mainly and we settled with them because they were the closest. That was a horrendous mistake. Look further afield. And again, like point one, go on personal recommendations, of course, but look further afield, and don't be scared to drive a few hours at least to find the right builder for your van. Another thing I'd say is, I'm not going to say on this video who the company is. I actually put a poll out on Instagram to say who thinks that I should name and shame, and it was about 50-50 actually. Yes, 50-50, no. But I'm not going to do it on this video. If you want to know who the company is I'm talking about, give me a DM on Instagram, Jamie's Adventures, and I'll let you know. But I don't want to, because it's not, I'm a small business owner, and it would hurt me if someone was talking about this and I said the company. This isn't a slagging off, and the truth is the build is fine. It's nice quality, everything works, it's good, so this is just a video talking about the experience I had. So I'm not going to say the name. The truth is, if you actually want to know the name, look on the video that when I bought this van and was talking about what I was going to do with the van build, look at that on my channel, and the name is in that video. Like I said, I'll let you know in Instagram if you give me a DM, but I don't want to name and shame for that reason. Oh, it's getting a bit cloudy now. Good job I got my jacket on. Oh, it's a bit rainy actually. Ooh. Finish this one off quick. Well, hopefully you've liked this video. Hopefully it's given you a bit of insight of what I went through. Again, thinking back to it, it's not massively terminal. It was more blimmin' annoying at the time. So yeah, so that's the van. You're going to see it on loads of adventures coming up. We've got loads of adventures coming up very, very soon actually. Sort of a Christmas, New Year big trip that we're going to go to Europe. Fingers crossed that goes okay. We've already had a couple of trips, so if you want to see what we're doing with the van, go and have a little look at some past videos. Last week we were in the Netherlands, and I've been to Germany, of course, because I've done the Fjällräven Classic. So thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe, all those sort of YouTube things, I really appreciate it. Also, don't forget to like the Jamie's Adventures Instagram channel. These videos are always a bit delayed, aren't they? So Instagram stories and reels and that are almost real time, aren't they? So have a little look at that. So I'm going to go back in because it's starting to rain. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall catch up with you very, very soon.